Hey everybody, Shay here. Welcome back to another blind reaction to Attack on Titan. We're going to be doing the episodes that correlate with Volume 3 of the manga. That is my primary experience with Attack on Titan. For those of you who don't know about the manga blind reactions and analysis, you can check them out on the channel. That's where I'm going to be providing a lot of my thoughts around the narrative structure and the analysis. And the anime is for two things. The first one, for me to see if there's any significant differences between the manga experience and the anime experience from the perspective of someone consuming this content for the first time. I'm not bringing any bias into the anime. I'm just analyzing it against the manga because the manga is my primary experience. Just to be clear, that stuff has come up in the comments. I just want to be clear about where my position is and why this is in English. English is easier for me to do the analysis part of it and to consume the information that I've already consumed in the manga. So there's no point in me making it more difficult with blinders on top. I'll talk about the blinders in a second, looking at the screen in a second. But yeah, just for that context, if I were watching this and consuming it as an anime, an experience, yes, sub, but we're going to go dub because it makes it easier to correlate with the primary experience, which is that of the manga. If you want to go check it out, find it on the channel and enjoy yourselves. A little bit of a piggyback on that is that for those of you who are finding this and don't know about the manga delves, is that I do narrative analysis, and so I treat these as a 4-act structure right now, the manga in particular, and I'm trying to evaluate them against 4 volumes equaling those 4-act structures. And I believe we're in the second half of an Act 2, and we're going to be leading into an Act 3 for this particular story arc. I don't know, don't spoil me in the comments below. This is all speculation. I like to do speculation as I go. I think it's a lot of fun with the manga, but that being said, now I sort of know what's going to happen in the anime. Like and this is blind as an experience for the anime, but I'm talking the blind Attack on Titan experience, but I'm doing these in parallel because I think it's curious. I think it's like I want to review these and analyze them that way. I have no other way of like positioning it. It's cool, and this channel gives me the opportunity to do it for those of you who care. So there you go. There's the context there. The blinders. We got the blinders back. I've tried to circumvent, not in a malicious way. I've tried some tests while trying to bring these reactions back to this channel. I've done some tests, but like I'm really trying to refine just a way to move forward. And the blinders do work. This has been my foolproof method so far. What you'll see on the screen is I've actually broadened them a little bit, and that could trigger something, which means that if you don't see broader gaps between the anime behind the blinders, it's because I got nailed. And so I had to retract that, and I had to do shenanigans, which I won't be able to do cleanly in post. So forgive me for this episode if you see shenanigans on the screen. I'm just trying to find a way to be able to post these onto YouTube without having headaches about like with having to pull things down, re-edit, push them back up, do a test. Then if I get manually flagged, then I'm screwed. If there's blockers, then I'm done. Like I don't want the blockers. I don't care about the monetization, but I can't have country blockers. There's no point in doing these if like 80% of the world is getting blocked, you know? So far so good. We're going to continue this way. I think that's enough of the house cleaning. Real quick, okay, speculation up front, not speculation, but curiosity up front for the anime, because of the way Volume 3 started. It started with a side story for Captain Levi, or Levy, and intriguing because it wasn't really a chapter, because when the next chapter happens, it's actually the next chapter. Like it's sequentially the next chapter, and that side story really was a side story. And so I'm just putting that out there right now before I hit start here to see how they handle that. Are they going to weave that information in somewhere else, or are they actually going to give us that side story as if it's in like actually linear continuity? Because I want to know if it's like if that was intentional, if the mangaka kind of intended for that in the manga, then I hope that there's a sort of parallel to that in the anime. So I'm going to be looking forward to that, looking for that in this particular episode at the beginning, and then from there we're going to see how far it goes. I'm assuming it's going to be four episodes possibly. So yeah, buckle up, let's get into it and let's see where this goes. I'm really digging the intro music, by the way. It wasn't I wasn't, but now I am. Opening shot. Ooh, very clear. And we're pausing within seconds. A very clear shot of that waterway that I brought up in the manga, which I was like, they're highlighting it, but I don't recall. I knew of it because there's scenes near the waterway, but it felt like they were spotlighting it a little bit more on one particular page spread, and then nothing really came of it. But I'm interesting they put it here. Oh, it's a summary. That's like the Volume 3 beginning. This is the side story. They do a bit of a summary. A few hours earlier. Oh, before the break. Oh yeah, this is it. This is a side story. Cool. I mean, he looks like Eren though. I mean, he did sort of look like Eren. You know what I mean? Like in the manga, I was like, not only do they have sort of a similar personality, like they literally repeat, like the lines he says are like echoes of Eren, but even visually right now, I'm like, he sort of does look like a more mature Eren. Yeah, I didn't expect her to be so bubbly. Is that a word I'm gonna use? Yeah, that's what I'm gonna use. Also kind of strange, right?
I think we've bagged the craziest abnormal already.
What? Seriously, where?
You know? Sort of weird, right? That wasn't in the well, I don't remember seeing that in the manga, but fun little exchange there. Ah, wow. Okay.
Wait till Captain Levi.
That's way more intense. Oh, that's awesome. That looked way I was having trouble following this in the manga. I knew what was happening. I knew he was like wrecking. But
One on the right.
that whole scene played out very differently in my head because I got the sense that he actually saw him suffering, and I at first, then I kind of like retroactively I corrected, but that he kind of saw him suffering, but he's like, but there's like other ones here and I got to take them out. And then he kind of went for them. And then he meets, I think it was Petra, and then they coordinate, and then he goes and sees the dead, dying at the time. But it comes off completely different when this particular side story arc comes to a close. Like there's a very nice loop, a very clean loop here, a beginning and end thread, right? Because, yeah, anyways, we'll get to it when that scene happens. Oh, that wasn't Petra at all. Okay, never mind. Bad memory. Oh, it was Petra. Wait, what? This doesn't look anything like Petra. Wait, do that again? Oh, my bad. So the glasses girl wasn't Petra. Awkward. Remember the name. Wrong character. Did they flip that scene around? I feel like I have... Oh my god. Yeah, this is playing out completely different than the manga. My memory of the manga. Nasty. Oh, even the blood evaporates? What the hell? Huh. Interesting faces. I remember that line too. I feel like there's a bit of a switch of pacing here. I felt like he... Yeah, I don't know, man. Oh, yeah, I remember him throwing his blades. I thought that... This plays out way cooler. He's just... so nonchalant.
Let's take it like a man, shall we?
Oh my gosh, that's so cool. Oh damn, he's so cool. He is way cooler. I was just saying he was like a character in the manga.
Disgusting.
Clean freak comment. That stood out in the comment. The manga. I'll talk about what I didn't call out in the manga, but while I was editing it, it was like it stood out to me. But I knew I'd be able to talk about it here. It's this comment right here, right? And he raises his hand, it's bloody, right? Think about the visual here for a sec. I might go back and show what I'm talking about. And this right here, bam, and he grabs it. Grabs a hand.
Made great strides today, soldier. This I swear. On my very life, the Titans will be eradicated.
It's like a blood oath. You know.
Did the man hear what I had to say?
Oh, that's a great line, man.
Yes, sir. Matter of fact, I think he heard all of it. Look at him. That's a face at peace.
That's a great line, man.
We can help.
Such a small scene, you know. But crazy delivery. Let's pause it. Let me talk about that quickly because it really stood out to me when I was doing the edit. And it's the beginning comment of like, if only they knew how much of a clean freak you were. And so that's like your act 1 of this arc, of this particular arc, right? The side story arc. And it's like this little seed of... It's a detail that doesn't matter. It's like this very subtle detail about his character, right? But then you get halfway in, and in the battle, he gets blood on his hand, right? And disgusting, and he cleans it off. So it's the call back to being a clean freak. He cleans it off. His fighting method is very like it's very, I guess, structured so that he doesn't get dirty, he doesn't get messed up with, right? Because he's a clean freak. But then he gets to the end and with the dying man, and it's the hand clasp that I didn't notice when I was reading it until editing. I was like, oh damn, because it's a loop. It creates a narrative loop there where, you know, he's a clean freak, but when it came to like showing that humanity and making that connection, you know, that all went away, and it becomes more like a blood oath or a blood devotion to like something, like it's just something else like happens there that's very deep, because it's like surface level cleansiness, but then it's like none of that matters when it comes to something deeper. I'm gonna carry that memory with me now to see how it pans out in the narrative later on or something, you know. That was very well done. So it's like, yeah, I can see this coming back in volume 4 now, because it's chomp. Oh, and they're gonna, oh, they slid right into it, the fallen arm. So they just made it the whole, oh, I mean, it's like, it's a good 30%, well, I guess 25% of this episode here. They just gave you that side plot. Way more horrific for sure. Oh, the bent knife. Way more disgusting. Nasty.
I need to go home.
Interesting call back there, because it comes back, right? Again, I get the benefit of talking in hindsight now.
Everything been taken from us. I'll drive them all out. Kill them with my bare hands.
Oh, he lifted his
Do you hear
arm
me?
without the
My bare
hands.
hands.
Was that in the manga with my bare hands? Because, I mean, that's obviously alluding to this next part. Bam! New hand. New arm. Up the orifice. Sorry. Stop saying that word. Yeah. Even that, like the way it was drawn in the manga, I felt like he came out of the belly of this guy, not the back, but it's way clearer in the anime. It's so good. I love the design of him. He's really cool. I got hit with like a nudity thing, I think, in YouTube because of this. Stomp.
Let me kill you again and again and again.
Wait.
All of you.
So like he punches so hard he evaporates his own arm? You know? Oh, yeah, okay. This is the cut that disoriented me in the manga. So let's see how it plays out here. Yeah, I felt like I teleported here. Even the anime didn't really
Look at me.
fix that, though.
Did you hear me say so?
You just gotta roll with this particular scene. Like, how did you hear that? He literally whispered it. And then this guy. Terror. Terror. Shitting his pants. That's that look of, oh god, I've shat myself. I'm actually quite impressed by, because I just read it last night, you know, but I'm really impressed with how much of the dialogue is literally at least the English manga. Like, it's literally, I mean, granted, the ones I've talked about in the past, let's put that behind us for a second, but I'm hearing this and it's literally what I read. Like, my memory is word for word. I'm sure there's like a couple differences here and there, but this dub is literally what I read in the English manga.
No, she's good. She made it.
Sometimes I feel slightly off, but
Hey, Jean.
I'm shocked at how the delivery actually, because, you know, sometimes it doesn't translate. Like, you can take something from a book or a comic, and if you try to bring it to the screen, it doesn't translate. But this one somehow does. More often than it should, I think. Because it's not flowing cleanly to me when I'm reading the manga, but I think that's just me stumbling on the way manga flow works between dialogue and how dialogue bubbles. Like it's just different than Western comics, and I have 3 decades of reading Western comics, over 10,000 issues possibly in my past, but I've really been stumbling on manga in the last 2 years while like getting into it, just because there's just enough different ways of like the methodology behind the panel and page flow in manga storytelling. I have to adapt to it, and sometimes I have to rewrite my 3 decades of like conditioning, you know. But the anime just like boom, it's just completely flow. I'm like, why was I struggling with the manga? This is completely clear, you know. See that scene right there. So this is where we get. This is the scene I remember, the last scene we saw where Eren turns back, we get like this shot right here, and he's got, Mikisa's hugging him, and he's on the concrete, like I guess he's on one of the parapets, right? But it's like then they're in the corner. I'm like, but how did they get to how did they get to? Because that threw me off. I'm like, what? How did they get surrounded by people? Like, weren't they with their people? Now we did get the scene now where it's a bit of a, we've switched perspectives to them here, because they went back. But I feel like I missed it, but I missed it in the manga and the anime. But they split, and it's when they split, like he's like, we're not supposed to say anything, but then that doesn't really matter because those soldiers found out anyways, and I have a gap there. But I don't think I missed it. I think we're seeing it. Like, how do they go from here to that corner, right?
That's nuts.
They walked away, they split up. Oh, it's in this summary right here. Okay. There was probably a couple panels there that were telling that.
Don't know why I felt the need to bring it up.
Yeah. Yeah, but see, it just flows so well. A little personal, it came out of nowhere.
One of them's just about the best fighter I've ever seen. The other's so stubborn it can drive you crazy.
Okay, these lines are different. Way better. I say better because, when I was reading them, I'm like, I'm pretty sure it's Mikasa, Eren, and then Armin, right? But it's like, it's done in like so few words that, I don't know, I just felt like, I think the second one was something about spirit, and I was like, well, Mikasa's kind of got a fighting spirit, but she's a better warrior. She's clearly the better warrior. She's number one. So it's, he gives a little bit more detail behind his rundown there of each. More descriptors to their persona type, It's like a witch hunt. I got this feeling in the manga as well that it was very witch hunty. In the sense that it's like he says, answer the question, but then it doesn't matter what you answer. Because it's like, if you're a witch, if we tie these rocks to you and we throw you in the river and you sink, then you weren't a witch. But if you float, then you're a witch and we're going to have to burn you.
Eren Yeager,
That kind of thing.
exactly are you?
This right here.
Or Titan?
Because it doesn't matter. Like
That's supposed to mean.
Son of a bitch is playing innocent. Answer me, damn you!
See what I mean?
It will get you a creature
In full view of your
unknown
comrades.
ability or allegiance
He didn't
to
see
slip
it.
through an infiltrated wall road.
Who told
And
him?
that creature is you! Under the circumstances, you're being sent
Oh, that was the comment that was made on the wall of someone going back to HQ. Oh. You see, it took me even a while with the anime. It's entangled. It's entangled a little bit. I guess it flowed okay, but it's definitely, it took me a sec there. I'm pretty sure that's what it meant. Is the person who ran back to the HQ, he said something that called these people then cornered these guys, this group. That's what this is. It's that they were told about the Eren thing.
His Majesty is neither here nor there. You are
Okay.
a risk, and I will within my rights to eliminate
Pretty sure I got it now.
Unless anyone's feeling up to the task, in which case, well, I'm happy to demonstrate my own technique.
I mean, that alone could probably get you reprimanded.
Can't I remember how I got here?
Neither can I, Eren. You're not alone. You're not alone. I think someone explained in the comments, and it really stands out to me now even more because I think it's really well done. It's the line work in the anime. I mean, it's clearly, I think it's better than the manga for different reasons. I think the manga, you get used to it and it becomes the style and it's in the spirit of the manga. And the mangaka is part of that evolution. Like as they grow in skill, the story I think evolves with it, and I think that's kind of cool, And as an artist, I appreciate that quite a bit because it's very difficult to start anything and then to create it for so long, and that's a huge amount of devotion, and I totally respect the evolution that will go through. The anime has this cool line work around the edges. I forget the details that were in the comments, but it's something along the lines of the studio or the director. Awkward. I should have looked this up first, but it just reminded me now because it's really standing out to me now. That they are known for this kind of line work, animated style. They do this hard edge around the characters. and I forget the other property that came up in the comments talked about this, and that it's used here. And does it make you feel a little bit different than the manga? Yes, yes. But strangely enough, the Titans still have that awkward feel that that manga still conveys, which I think it's a combination of wonky art with the Titans just being wonky. But this still captures that wonkiness, but it just feels more structured or integrated, I guess. It just feels, it's clean. It's such a clean look. Like, Eren looks very clean. This line work is amazing right here. Just nerding out. Nerding out on the line work. It's a thing.
I've always been one of you. I'm human!
I mean, that's the delivery of that. I've always been one of you. I mean, it just landed a little different this time around.
So you say.
And there's that witch hunt feeling.
No choice.
You see what I mean? Like, it just didn't matter. So why did you ask, asshole? Like, you know? Oh, yeah. Great. That shot was dead from the... Like,
Eren,
exactly from the manga.
behave while I'm gone, and I'll...
Okay.
Whenever you look at it, let this thought flood over you. I must return to that cellar.
That's the brainwashing. Bam. We do have a lot more context in the anime here.
Explain all this. When the time
There's like a
comes, though,
page, maybe page and a half or something.
you must reclaim-
No, that's in the manga. Yeah,
But in my
it's in the
heart, I
manga.
know what I'm doing is for the best.
But this is way
When the
deeper.
ability confuses you, let their
And he's crying.
memories act as your guide.
There it is, and it's feeling a lot more human.
Day the truth will come out.
Like, it's way
I
clear
swear to you.
that the empathy is still there.
The journey will be a painful one, but it is yours to
Yeah, this is
make.
way more epically delivered than what I got out of the manga. I
Mikassa's life, Armin's life,
like, that's new.
everyone's life. He
Made it more
lives on
personal.
you being able to
It's like
control
4 times as long. That right there, like, that didn't... I just remember the bite. You know what I mean? Oh, that was cool. That was cool. That looked way cooler. The anime is so good. It's so good. That's so good. It's way creepier, man. Oopsie doopsies. Yes. Boom. Just like that. Yeah. That's good stuff. Let's just jump to the next episode, shall we? Why not? Let's rock and roll. That's gonna be a bunch of people breaking down. Oh, Sasha, buy her food. I don't know why. I'm so amused by her. This is such an act to be thing. It's because everything is like, you know, you're past the hump, the 50% mark, and so things have to start to unravel and get worse and worse and worse and worse. You're sort of on this downward slide, even though you're working towards that climax or that pinnacle or the catalyst, whatever you want to call it. But you're gonna have to hit that crest, and that crest is usually with a massive down, and that massive down is going to be the spike up. We know where that's going to go, of course. Don't spoil me beyond that. I do not know what happens after that. I can only perceive to believe what I interpret as the epiphany, which will happen in maybe 2 episodes or something like that. But
Keep it together, okay?
it's the breakdown of everything just going bad,
We're all fighting back our fear.
and you're really trying to get this schema or the pattern around the greater power, greater responsibility, greater confidence, and that can go for any character. It's usually for the protagonist. There's a bunch of main characters in this. There's some main characters, but there's a lot of like very I would say like prominent supporting cast right now. But the story of the city, I talked about this in the manga analysis, right, where the city is starting to come across as a character to me as well. Trost is a character, and so we're also kind of evolving through the story of Trost, you know, or the development of Trost in this narrative. I'm trying to remember the manga. I remember that scene, but then I don't remember that scene actually leading. I expected it to go maybe a little bit more explicit to them intercepting more of this, you know, but they become onlookers. Okay. Look at that music. Damn, that's really good. No, man, he's literally a corpse. He's a corpse. He's just a torso, man. He's a twitching eyeball. Experiencing REM sleep. Oh, that's how Armin gets a stronger context around it, maybe. I mean, I don't remember an Armin, but I mean, I know where this goes, right? And we don't see that Armin acknowledges that. Just yeah. I thought maybe the anime might have given us some extra context there. Yeah, stop freaking out, bro.
Those flowers weren't there before. How did they?
Armin! Mikasa! Hey,
What?
are you guys alright?
That's sort of important.
How'd you?
Like-
I don't know. But look, it's already starting to vaporize just like the corpse of a Titan. Let's get out of here. Hard to
I don't
tell
think
if
that
we're
was in the
watching or
manga.
waiting, or just
Maybe I
totally
missed it.
dazed. I suppose
I'm
it
gonna go
doesn't
back and
really matter
check.
much either way.
You know, it's funny. I'm gonna reverse, even though it's gonna go back quite a while. But I'll tell you, like, I almost made a comment about it right here, because in the anime, so, oh my god, I'm going right back to the beginning. I almost called it out because, and I'll let me get to it. Right there. Okay, so that took me a while. Damn, it's like right at the beginning. So when we cut to this Titan shot right here, we come back into the scene. One of the first, so we got a pan up of Mikasa. We got a pan over of Armin and see the flower. There's a flower in front of Armin. And I almost made a comment there. The only reason is because from a cinematographic perspective or an artistic perspective, you don't put something in the foreground like that, or storytelling, unless you want to draw attention to it, because we're supposed to be looking to Armin's reaction right now, but there's a flower in front of Armin's reaction, and so I'm thinking about the flower when I'm consuming the idea behind the Armin reaction. Like, my brain is trying to, it's being intercepted, and so it's a way in storytelling, especially visual storytelling, where the focus is there for a reason, and so you have to take a pause, you know, and it's, you know, it's moving around too. It's not just static. So, and then he actually calls it out. But I was like, that's an interesting shot, because why would they need to focus on the flower, you know? But I didn't catch that in the manga at all. Okay, so that confirms that Armin didn't see him coming out through the back of the neck.
Totally might learn the Titan's secrets.
Also, interesting that they put that shot in there, because it's something I was definitely thinking about when I was editing. So here's the thing. The manga delve itself lasts about 2 hours, and then it takes me about 3 hours and a half to edit. And so I'm reconsuming this in like super, so like I'm consuming it blind, but then I'm in the experience, you know what I mean? Like I'm getting granular details, and then I'm preparing that for the anime to then stitch it all, bind it, and then I'm going into the next volume with a lot more density around the thoughts. But one of them that came to mind, I'm afraid to say it, so don't spoil anything, but like, it's not a spoil thing. It's like, I'll bring it back up in volume 4, the manga delve, but they show it right. I mean, they're showing the armor Titan, yes, but then they're showing the 50-foot one, you know. But when I was done editing, I was like, it was hard for me not to see the parallel with Eren calling Titans around him, which is something that, you know, an experience that I got from volume 3, because I didn't know how he was doing it. I didn't know if he was transforming into it. I didn't know if, like, the other one, like, it was something tied to him being inside one that then triggers it. But then this scene is like, well, no, because he can literally manifest one around him. But it's like, it's the way that they manifest, and that they're spending more time around the dissolving thing. And we know from volume 1 of the manga that the Colossal Titan appears out of nowhere and then vanishes. So it's like, it can decide, it can choose when to just be there or not be there. Or, and this is the dangerous cautionary, please be careful in the comments below, or that's I think this is a way of the story alluding to it potentially being, I always want to say aberrant and abnormal. How does it get 50 feet tall? I don't know. But Eren, and we'll get there in the next episode maybe, Eren talks about, like, he just needs to become a bigger one. I was like, what if this is like whatever's happened to Eren is happening to someone else, or something else, or some other thing happen, and like, these are other hybrids? I don't even know what to call what an Eren would be, or if all the abnormals are like these. The abnormals are mutations or hybrids or something, you know? And something else is going on. Don't affirm that in the comments below. I'm just speculating as part of the experience, you know? But it's something that happened because of the manga, but now it's getting reinforced here because of that. The extra shots there with the armor titan and the colossal. He can't control his like emotions or something. His pupils were all dilated. Like, I don't know, man. Or not, but like his whole iris was.
Eren, we have
Yeah, his emotions.
to deal with.
His emotions are all skewed right there. Like that wasn't normal. That was something else going on there.
The smoke's clearing. As soon as you
But it makes sense. It's almost like he can't. How he's feeling kind of becomes maybe the motivation of the Titan. That's why it becomes. We'll get there. We'll get to that episode. We'll talk about it when we get there. It's all gonna be in this episode, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, this piece lands a little better here than in the manga because it happens in like half a page in the manga. Your nose is bleeding, you're pale, you're breathing, and then it's like, yeah, but here's my plan. You know, it's same thing here happened here, right? But the way the shots happened, the pacing just landed. It made it land better. I can explain that more from a manga perspective. I can try now, but I don't have the visuals to help me. But like in storytelling and especially with comics, and I'm not trying to like manga is gonna follow different practices than Western, right? And I have more of an experience around the Western use of panels and page flips and stuff like that. But if you're saying something that's going to be like vital and meaningful, you make the panels bigger because what you're seeing is equivalent of that flower that was in the forefront of the shot of Armin, and then it's like that flower wasn't there before, you know, but you've alluded to something and you've made it prominent, so it's consumed different. For your brain, it will just interpret those signals differently. So when you zoom in on a panel and you make it bigger on the page, then it means that there's more a prominent message coming across there, and you're going to consume it with a different weight, if that makes sense. Whereas in manga, I find they don't really worry about that kind of stuff. It's like they leave it to the reader for their subconscious to develop all of those inputs. However, they're on their own. You know, I feel like the mangaka and the studio and whoever puts these things together, like, because I know it's the mangaka, but sometimes they have like a mangaka house or something like that. So that it's what's it called, like help like there's like artist assistants and stuff like that. But like I think they just I think the manga is just because they got to move so fast. They got to create these so quickly that they're just trying to tell a story and get the story out there. But that's what I mean about where I might be getting stuck with the manga, is that I'm interpreting all of those practices in how to do the pacing, that, you know, when I go to manga and it's just like, no, down and dirty. Like we're getting a story out there, you know, and it's up to you to figure out where to put the focus and like reread this and like rethink and like do your own fanfic, like stitch stuff between panels and between pages. You work that out, you know, or anime comes a year later, you know, for manga that becomes big, there's going to be a manga or a movie, and then let the directors of the anime figure it out, and then boom, done. Right. So it's a whole different market, whole different whole structure behind all of this that's very fascinating to me to experience blind, of course. I get to talk about it. And these.
I'm not your little brother, and I'm not some snot-nosed toddler.
I like the way that was written a little bit better. I know I got not tripped up on that line, but I thought it was odd. Like, I'm not your little brother. I'm not your kid or something. I was like, wait, why would you say that to Mikasa? That came out a lot better.
Captain Vorman.
I understood the intention of the writing, but it was weird. I mean, I don't know why you'd go there, Armin, but you do this often. I mean, he really is. He's just right on the precipice of like the worst possible thing, you know?
I can't count the number of times they've come to my rescue. I was always so weak. I could never reciprocate the favor. I still haven't earned the right to think of myself as their equal.
Oh.
I can't afford to try and repay their kindness by going with them. I'd only end up slowing them down.
I don't remember that. Maybe it might have been there, but I feel like that was an extra line. But it was powerful. It was good. Yeah, the anime did a lot to add to the layering of all of those things happening at the same time. There was a lot of layering there because they're arguing. There's the people at the pacing's a little off here, right? Because like there's still this much smoke and steam around them. Good lord, you know. But it's like everyone's just like either poised to like strike with weapons, with cannons, but they're having these like long conversations and inner monologues, you know. But some of this is all happening at the same time. Is what's actually happening here. It's like a couple seconds, you know. Not really. It's a couple minutes, but yeah. I mean, I have to believe there's more that's going to come up as we go. That's just the one that's like most relevant because it happened, you know, for us as readers. Feels like a turning point for Armin. I snap out of it, bro. But like that's his arc, you know, and that's also a very Act 2B arc for characters. Right? You gotta have your low, and then you gotta get your lift off. Like purpose. Finding his purpose.
You two just act as non-aggressively as you possibly can.
It's such an epic scene for such a mundane. I'll do it. The most epic way possible.
Since Eren first appeared and fought as a Titan, something has been gnawing at the back of my mind. I haven't had a chance to collect my thoughts yet, but I can do this. I'll just have to think as I talk.
None at the back of my mind.
You don't need any proof! That's right. There's no need at all. The fact of the matter is, it doesn't matter what we perceive him
Logic
to be.
unlocked.
The reports say hundreds of
Idiots
soldiers saw him,
confirmed.
and those who were...
He's a witch hunter. He's a witch hunter, man. That's what it is. That's all it is. But this is part of the story too, which they really were honing in on for for volume 3. There's usually a theme around an arc. And so if you think about volume 3 of having a beginning and end, it's also about, and there's a line, I don't remember when the line happens, but oh man, maybe it already happened in the manga. I don't, but it was that, and I caught it in editing. And then later on with lines like this, like hopeless, that he can't see past his fear, like he's being irrational. But it's the, I forget which character it said, but it's that Trost. Oh, it's coming up. It's coming up. I'm just gonna shut up. See how they pronounce his name here. He says something. I was like, that's a good line. That's a great line. I like that they show that they're hearing it. And then, how?
That's enough.
Yeah, I think the line comes after. Oh, shot of the flower again. That I do not remember in the manga. Oh, I've been saying Maria. Maria.
Nope, not any of you. Eaten by a Titan wouldn't be so bad if it was a sexy lady one.
A man also notorious for being genuinely eccentric.
What the hell is going through the commander's head? Going up there.
Right, I'm not hearing the line, so I'm going to talk about it now, because maybe I don't think I'm making it up. But it's someone says something like, I don't know if it's Trost has 2 enemies right now. I forget how the line is said, but it's that something is not the only enemy Trost has, or something is not the only enemy something has. Like I forget the full, but it's like, but I'm like, did they ever mention what the second one was? And I don't think they did. But in the scenes themselves, it's clear. It's fear. Fear is the other enemy, because that's, I remember the scene. It goes into the regiment where like when they just want to peace out, and it's like, well, you're gonna get executed if you bail. And then they're like, yeah, that's better than being eaten by a Titan. And then boom, they get, that's coming up. That scene's coming up. But I feel like it's something that happens before that slides into that, and then it doesn't explicitly tell you that fear is the enemy, but that's what I took away during editing of the manga delve.
I asked you the wrong question. Are you willing to, Cadet Yeager?
Hey, nice.
Or not?
See, landed better in the anime. Like I got the sense of it in the manga, but this is landing. You know, it's the intent, right? It's like failing is like you can fail, but are you going to try, right? And that's all that you can expect. It's like it's a bit of a layer of desperation too from him too, right?
But I'll do it.
I mean, I know where I'm at at the end of volume 3. Maybe it's the next episode. Let's go check it out. Next episode. We're just gonna slip right into it. While it's ready to go.
Titans aren't our only foe.
Oh, it was Eren that said it. Yeah, as he just hangs. But it's going to spend this chapter, this episode, to give us that context by show, don't tell. Main rule of storytelling. Well, it's not the main rule, but it's like a vital rule in storytelling. It lands better when you show, don't tell. They do a really good job of illustrating the city in the anime. Like the size of it and the walls. And let's see. I didn't catch if they actually execute them, but I'm pretty sure the anime is going to make it clear. Okay.
hear that?
Okay, they don't take him out. Okay, I really didn't know in the manga.
I don't know. But Trost isn't the way I want to go.
Come again?
Yeah, but this is it. This is like everyone freaking out.
It's thought
All right,
by many
that's
before the Titans
that was way darker in my brain when reading the manga.
races, different creeds, all scratching and biting at
But you have to understand, I just came from a scene, all of us, but like the manga literally just had a chapter. Granted, it was them putting down Eren Titan, and well, they didn't know if these are just abnormals, and they were all in human form and all that. And I get it, and there was fear that went through those ranks, and they were just willing, like, human or not, it doesn't matter. It didn't matter what they were. They were gonna get executed. It didn't matter. And so I come from that scene, and you slide into this one, and then it's like you can get executed by like defecting, and it's like, well, you've just showed me an entire chapter, the entire context that this is a thing. This is like the guy even says it, right? The execution line in the previous chapter of the manga, right? And so it's like, you've only given me a reason to believe that happened. And so the panel inside the manga pulls back, and then you don't really see it as a crowd shot. And there's like, I didn't know. I don't know what happened, because then it cuts to the scene with like someone else freaking out, and it's like, are they freaking out now because they're just willing to die for it? Like I didn't know, anyways, so I kind of let it go and I rolled with the flow. But so the leadership does have restraint. All right. Just settle them down. Got good acoustics.
Cadet Yeager possesses the ability to fabricate and
He didn't mention the
control a Titan
military.
body at will.
It says science. I'm pretty sure the manga baked this into a military
Recall the massive boulder
thing.
runway
Or maybe I took that
delegate,
away, but
having
I don't think so.
assumed Titan's
Much nicer scene change here, because this one disoriented me in the manga. Like, I got they were in a different side, like a different group talking, but I like how that cut happened, Yeah, I love the way this came across in the anime. I think I know what's going on, like in, because I'm able to do this in parallel, and I'm really trying to think about the two experiences that I'm having, and I love the manga. I'm not going to change the manga being the primary experience, because that's the mangaka's soul right there. Like, that's the mangaka's story. That's where I'm going to read it, But the experience translation to the anime, I'm sorry, it's good. It's good. It's really good. It's really good. But it's like a different thing. It's a different feeling. Like, the manga has something to it, which is like, it's part of, I've also got an affinity for the comics, right? So it's like, just comics in general. Like, I love the nature of going through the panel flow and the page flow and like the reveals and the page flips, and like, I love all of that. But when you get in this form, like where the characters are, like, this is such an organic flow of dialogue, and I'm like, I read this in the manga, man. Like, but it wasn't as seamless in my brain. It wasn't stitching together these scenes the way, I feel like I'm, again, 10,000 plus comics in 30 years. I feel like I've never really struggled until manga. And again, that's on me, It's crazy seeing it come into play like this. And then I'm seeing the panels I just read less than 24 hours ago, Like, I just read these panels, and I'm like, no, those are that. I know exactly the size of the panel. I know it was on the left side. I know it was at the top. Like, I know, these things in print to some degree. But I love the way that it transitions to the characters. What was I trying to say? Oh, it's that I think I know what's going on. It's that when I'm reading the manga, and this is, people have called this out in the comments, right? For multiple manga delves over the years, the balloons don't necessarily always point to in Western comics, balloon tails point explicitly to the person speaking, whereas in manga, that's not the case. Manga, they are a little bit more liberal, where the balloons are positioned, and they leave it up to the reader to contextualize who's saying what, because of the story flow. It's just like, they even if it requires some rereading or whatever, it's like you will stitch that together, and that's like really. There's no flaw in that. It's like, that's part of like, reading between the panel and reading between the pages in comics, is that the reader is supposed to fill in the gaps. I just feel like manga treats that sensibility in a different way. They do put a lot more on the reader to just get there your own way. And sometimes I don't. And I think that's going to take some reconditioning potentially, or maybe it's too late for me, you know, because I'm just too deeply ingrained. But what I'm saying is that it's that the balloons, when I'm reading them, I'm kind of in the same voice until I understand I'm switching voices, you know, and when it's clear to me. And when it's not clear to me, I'm just reading the lines on the page, getting the context of the scene, and then moving through the scene. Whereas in the anime, no, I got like whoever this guy is speaking. I got whoever she is speaking. I don't even know if they have names. I don't know if I've caught them, if they were given. It doesn't matter. There might be no namers because I don't remember getting a name. But they're likely just, you know, C-level supporting cast. They don't need to have names, right? But it's that them having separate voices for exactly what I read. But now I'm hearing it as like a plan that's being talked about by a group of people, and that we transition from Pixis and Eren into this, and like the camera, you saw the camera, like it went from them speaking, finishing their speaking, and then pushing behind them to this group, the back of this group, they're facing the other way, and now they're already having an exchange, and it's like, oh, it's such a good dynamic and flow there, and it's so wonderfully done, very organic, and it feels like what I read, but it's not what I read, you know. And anyways, something that's really standing out to me now, like, I don't remember feeling like this for the prior episodes and manga volumes, but I think this because there's a lot more going on, and because there's a lot of strategic talk going on and planning and more characters having these discussions. The manga is getting, it gets a little tangled in its own density. Is that like a good way of putting it? There's a lot of stuff going on, and there's a lot of characters talking while this stuff is going. It's hard to explain. I get, maybe did I kind of get the point across? Anyways, whereas the anime, it just doesn't feel that way. It feels dense, but it flows smooth. That's how I'll put it. Let's move on to Sasha, and it's always a silent cut to Sasha, unless it's not Sasha and I'm screwing up again. Pretty sure it is. Come on, it's Ponytail Girl, Potato Girl, right? Is this guy gonna? Yeah, this guy's a loose cannon. This guy's getting countered at every turn. What a loose cannon. I love this right here. It's so good. Oh, I took that completely differently. I love the way I took it. Hold on, let me hear that again. I thought he was roasting them, and the roast was reverse psychology.
Additionally, anyone with family or loved ones they would spare from the same trauma may also
They would spare from the same trauma of seeing a Titan. So it's like, that was a lot. I took it completely as a roast. That was more human sounding. That was a lot more empathic. I was like, and for those who want to go home like little bitches and have your families turn into little bitches, you can also leave. That's how I read it. That's so terrible. And then people are like, oh, I don't want my family. I don't want their final moments to be little bitches. So I'm going to turn around and fight for my family.
I couldn't live with myself. My daughter's my all.
Wait, or is that what? Is that how it's supposed to have come across? And it's just, the lines are just different.
4 years ago, namely the
That's fine, that's fine. You know, it's hearing this right here, you know. So he's telling everybody. That's another thing. I thought he was telling Eren and Armin, maybe. Like, I thought it was like the people at the top or something. We're hearing him like say this. No, this is part of his speech to everybody. I'm fairly certain I didn't think he was saying this to everybody. Okay, you know what I mean? Damn. Look at the size of the city. That's way grander. Shown like that, you know?
No, my duty is to make false hope real.
Gut punch. We're getting some repeat characters here. I mean, they're bringing glasses lady back. He's already measured how to lose. He's already measured the odds. So he's like, it only gets worse. Oh, let's get their names. Ian. That wasn't Ian. Rico. Rita.
I won't take another chance.
Knock it the hell off! Get it through your head that I'm not your responsibility. You're not my mother.
Ackerman, I want you on the squad that'll be providing Yeager with backup. We'll need your skill.
Nah.
You want me to say it? You just go do your job and I'll do mine.
Look, now's not the time to be playing house.
Also, this is I don't remember the scene, but also her getting all the screen time. It's more screen time than I remember I'm giving her in my brain from the manga. I didn't consider her at all a character in the manga.
I'm gonna say what we're all thinking here. The fact that the fate of mankind depends on a little brat like you
I just-
doesn't make me hopeful.
Expendables is what I treated them as in my brain.
Be in range of the giant boulder. I'm
Except
not
for
seeing
Ian.
any Titans
Ian
nearby.
stood out to me.
Corner of town.
Oh,
Don't
that's...
don't
Oh, that's... I remember asking a question, like, what are the lures? They're literally the people hanging off the wall.
Make no mistake.
Like
More
worms.
than a few of our I'm talking friends, captains, lieutenants, peons. But remember, every one of them is a flesh and blood person.
Yeah, see, that's a lot more monologuing than I remember too. This just like... I felt like this just clipped through us. Like at this point, I felt like I'm missing pages. Like I missed a page flip, or 2 pages got stuck together or something.
Has dreams, hopes, fears. Every one of them has a name.
Yeah, it's much more fleshed out.
Dominic.
This is creating some...
Guido, Hans.
Because this isn't in the book, but this is... You know, when you give names, it's you're imparting like... like the people. These are people that are going to die, right? The power of names.
His whole family snuffed out in a moment. Whatever happens, you keep that lodged in your mind. Take everything that comes with deadly seriousness.
Right.
I feel like this is the last 2 chapters in one episode. I can't watch anything past this. No, this feels like it's the end. Like we don't have another episode worth of content here to fill out. Yeah, it's called Icon, and it was like Wounds. Wounds was the next one. I'm not sure. I don't remember. There's no way they're gonna do. Oh man, I don't know. 3 minutes left. This. I don't know, man. Look at that animation. It's crazy. Oh, that's so cool. That's so good. Damn. So good. It's so good. Woo! That's so good. Boom! And that's the end of the volume, man. Bam! That's it. So they definitely combined Icon and Wound chapters. Boom. Like a maniac. Didn't want to land first. Fuck. Land. Chumps. Can you imagine witnessing this crap though? For real? Like you'd be seeing this for the first time, you know? I feel like this is the plan. There's a plan going on here, you know? Like, what is happening here though, you know? So, I mean, like, what? Alright. Alright, I'm going to pause it here with Eren Titan acting as Atlas while giving the outro. There's not much more for me to say. I think I said a lot during these during this reaction. I was less reacting because, of course, I've already... the manga delves is where I'm going to get the initial kind of gut punch reactions to a lot of the moments that happen here. But I wanted to get some ideas across more from the analysis perspective or the comparison analysis perspective. Hopefully that makes sense to everybody, because I'm not going to pretend react to things. Some stuff is like, yeah, it's so well done that you're going to get the reaction to the parts that you've heard. Is me, like, some stuff just looks cool, some stuff comes across cool, like, and it's going to still have an impact to me because as I mentioned in this episode, there were times I just didn't feel the scene played out the way that it ended up playing out in the anime. And the big takeaway is still what I talked about in the manga delves, which is from a narrative patterns perspective. This moment really feeling like the end of it, just like the crest, right before what I call the epiphany, right before that moment, is because everything has gone to shit. Like it's like you go all in, all is lost. You know what I mean? Is another schema I have in the narrative patterns, and the all is lost is like, this is it. This is the moment. Like, we don't know all the details here, but it really feels that way. It's like they're putting everything into this plan. They got people that are going to die because of this plan. Everything is on Eren to accomplish this thing and execute on this plan. Everything is on this plan. The relationship between Mikasa and Eren is reliant on this plan. Like, something feels like maybe his emotions are not in check. There's like an imbalance going on here, which is maybe because he's pushing Mikasa away, but it might be the Titan part of him that's reacting on that emotional spectrum in more of an anger and like pushing against like her wanting to watch out for him, care for him, protect him and all that, but he's pushing against that. And there was so much from Eren, like inner monologue, external dialogue with other characters about how important his mission was here, like his goals, is like his intent, maybe not the boulder, but he's going to give it his all to like achieve this goal. But this does leave us with the cliffhanger of all is lost, and like everything is hidden, everything is going to crap. And so like, how do we swing back out of this? I think that's going to be the epiphany. I mean, it really could go in two different ways here, two paths, manga and anime obviously, but the story feels like, you know, if this was based on like the narrative pattern flow, and it does swing around, and it's gonna be something with Eren. It's gonna be a catalyst, whether it's the key, whether it's the cellar. I don't know how that's all gonna play out, because I feel like that needs to be what leads us in, like that needs to be the Act 3, that the keystone, like the center piece that brings like it brings together pieces from the volume 1, volume 2, alluding to something in volume 2, and then the key becomes like, hey, remember the key in volume 3, which we caught in this set of episodes here. And I feel like that needs to be a payoff. There needs to be a payoff. And Shinganshina, finding the key, finding the cellar, finding the truth, boom, that becomes maybe a secret weapon. Maybe he just remembers it because he says my memories are coming back, so maybe he doesn't have to get there yet, but it's gonna be enough for him to control whatever's going on here. And then we're gonna get like the key's gonna be maybe the next 4 volumes, you know, and the father and how all that connects and intertwines. But yeah, I just feel like it's kind of an intriguing place to drop this, because the second part of where this could go, is where it just ignores the traditional conventional narrative pattern flow here, and it's just gonna go, no, everything's just gone to crap, and we're gonna deal with, you know, a whole volume of like wild rogue Eren, and then how do you like control that, and then it's gonna break free from whatever those narrative pattern conventions are that I'm being informed by while doing this analysis, and then I'll change that up as we go. We still have so many characters on the table. We have so many characters that we can dive into. We got a new one up front right in this set with Levi, and then there was no payoff at the end of the volume, but it's likely going to be a carryover because they're coming back, right? Because they maybe have to combine these two now. Because even though, that might be the whole big turnaround, I can see, like I was talking through it now, is like I can see where the Act 3 patterns might have been set up, so that when we go through the dip part of Act 3, which is usually the midway point through Act 3, and then it's like they might be coming back. And so Levi and then the inside force with the outside force, maybe they they squish the Titans in the middle. Like they're able to solve whatever they have to solve in order to plug that hole maybe, and then they all come back, and then that sets us off with a couple other characters that are going to be in the picture, right? Find some sort of balance in the narrative, like with so many characters on the table. But then they can also broaden that out to the government stuff. They brought up the Imperials, is that what they're called? So like the inner people, right? The power plays that happen sometimes. So there's a lot of room for this to, I think, explore after Volume 4. I don't think it's going to happen in Volume 4. If I had to guess, it's going to be a volume, I'll say it right now, Volume 6. Volume 6 is, I think, where we're going to have an explosion of lore, and it's going to get into more of the world building stuff or politics of the city or something. I assume the Trost stuff is going to be closed. It's going to be closed in Volume 4 and the next, 3 or 4 episodes here. We'll see if that speculation is correct. That's like I said, the fun part of all of this. I'm gonna wrap this one up. I'm looking forward to reading Volume 4 probably tomorrow. We'll see. But yeah, looking forward to coming back to Attack on Titan and pushing this thing forward. Weekly releases, maybe more. We'll see. Okay, I'll talk to you soon. I don't want to promise anything. Why'd I even say this? I'm going to keep that in, but I shouldn't have. Anyways, I'll catch you in the next active episode. Don't forget to explore, engage, and inspire, buddy. Peace.